Okay, I am going to do some scrapping, or making Frankenpaper, if you will. So I'm going to use just some, it's a heavier weight copy paper, but it's not cardstock, because this is going to end up with paper glued to it, which is to make it thick. And then I'm going to glue it to my tags. And actually, I just thought of something. I'm probably not going to use them on these. What I want to do, I forgot my strategy. I don't want to have to cut these back out again. So what I will probably do is make rectangles and glue these on. So I'm going to set these aside for now and just concentrate on making some scrap paper. And I don't know how this will go. I've done it before, but I mean, kind of a mess. And so one thing that can happen is your scraps can be boring. And so that's okay, because we're gonna make them more fun when we're done. Oh gosh, let me open this. I'm gonna use regular gel matte gel medium, heavy. Oh gosh. And Tim Holtz says you always want to take time to clean the threads of your jars and lids, and that's why, because if you don't, you can hardly get them open. So this stuff peels out. It's just like glue. I really pretty sure it's the same ingredients as your white glue and everything else we use. I'm going to get my scraps out here. I've got neutral scraps. These are my tiny scraps, my red and yellow and orange, and then I have blue and purple and green and another one. I am going to just kind of not have a, I'm not going to try to do anything specific. I'm just going to start gluing, I think. And I'm going to use this is a hair coloring spatula. It's silicone, and I got it on Amazon in a set of 3. And you can see I haven't cleaned it off like I should, so it's still got the glue from the last time I used it. But it's a really good way to spread your matte medium. So I'm just going to start, and some of these, see here we go. This is what happens is I start to get picky. So I don't want to be picky. I want to just mindlessly put my strips on. And also you have to kind of watch to make sure your glue doesn't dry out before you get too picky and forget to put your strips on. So I'm going to put that on. Maybe put a little bit more over that. And put that on. And that's kind of a heavier paper. A lot of these too, I have stuff on them that will activate when they get wet, so got to kind of watch out for that. And then I'm going to put some of these cutouts on top of it. This is heavier too, so I got to make sure I keep some pressure on that and glue all the edges down really well. And like I said, if they are boring, like the edge of this is not very interesting, but I can go back with my stamps and things and add interest later. Here's one that I use sprays on that will activate. So as soon as it gets wet, it's going to smear. So you have to be quick on that if you're going to hit it with this stuff, because it will start to move and get on other things, which is fine as long as you know it's going to do that. I've got this vellum, and I don't know. We'll see if it'll glue. I don't know if it'll glue or not. It's funny stuff. Well, if I might want to put it where it's readable. This is a spray that will activate if I'm not careful. I spilled a whole, I told somebody and see it's starting to smear across there. I spilled almost a whole bottle of fuchsia spray, and it went. So I just started taking paper and just blotting it up because I didn't want to waste it. And so it really did turn out pretty. A couple of them are really pretty. Always takes me longer than I think it's going to take to pick out my... Okay, let me take a piece of this texture here. Got this textured paper at Walmart a while back on sale. And see how that bubbled? I don't know if that's stuck or not. Let me see if it... Yeah, it did stick. It just... it's stronger than the paper I stuck it to, so it's making a bubble. We'll have to smash that down when I stick it to my card. Hopefully it can make it behave. I've got pieces I cut out of a magazine, so they're photographic, which is kind of interesting. Here's this speckled paper I like a lot, so I'm gonna... It's kind of hard because the glue goes up in the circles, but it's so cool looking. See if I can get it to stick like I want it to. Ooh. It's interesting no matter if it's perfectly round or not. I think so. I'm going to leave that like that. Okay, so that's done for as far as sticking paper on. So let me do this one since I started it and use up some of these scraps I've got out here. So there's an example of a boring piece. Although it does make it interesting. Because it's just a piece up against other things, so it's still kind of interesting. Let's see. Do that way. I know I'm working from my reds and my oranges a lot here. I will have to get over here in my blues and get something going. I did some where I just painted patterns with my Crayola, not Crayola. Oh, I can't think what they're called. They're big, fat, kind of Crayola watercolor pencils, but they're great, big, and fat, like the Crayolas you use when you're a kid. And I made some patterns with them, and that's what that is. And you can see they kind of activate too and start to smear. I took some handwritten notes I had in a notebook, and then I took those Crayolas and just made a pattern on top of them just to make them more interesting. So that's what I got with that. You can use any glue you want for this. You could use decoupage glue, except that for heavier paper, it's really kind of difficult, a little more difficult, I think. So that's why I'm using matte medium. It's really just thick paste. And it's easier to get these heavier papers to behave. Here's an experiment. I took construction paper and some of those things from a notebook and just kind of played around. So that's, you know, when you've got a day where you just want to play, that's kind of what happens. And it's fun. And then you don't use it for a year later. So here we are. This kind of puts a glaze over the top and seals it too. So that's another reason I like this glue. Funny to me anyway, you look at these scraps like, is that worthy? Like, just put it on and quit thinking about it. There's another one where I practiced on just making some patterns with those water-soluble Crayolas. Okay, I went ahead and did 4 sheets of this Frankenpaper. And so what I'm going to do now is go back and add some things to make it more interesting, because when you cut it into a back of a tag, if these are big pieces, it might not be that interesting. So one thing I do, I've got all these little petals that from when I was making flowers out of these for my art journal. And so I can take those and glue those on, like, just here in the middle, to just kind of break it up a little bit. I just got this out of the water, so it's not wanting to stick. Ooh. Eventually the paper gives in and says, all right, I'll let you glue me down. It's not too watery. Come over here and stick one of these on. The other thing I like to do that I figured out after I'd done this a few times, because I don't like having empty spots, is I take my scraps from my napkins. You know, when you decoupage, you've always got a bunch of scraps of those. So let me do some of that real quick. So in my file folder here, I keep my scraps of all my napkins, and I've got some little pieces here that I can use. And I'll just pull that out. That's enough. It doesn't take much. I actually did some here. This is a piece of tissue paper, and there's some tissue paper. So you can take your napkins and overlay. Here you can see where I did it too. There's a piece of tissue paper in there. Especially on this writing, you can get some. Usually it will let the writing bleed through. That one might not, but. So here's this bird. So I'm going to put him right here. And it's thin, so it doesn't make it any thicker, which is nice. And it also lets the other stuff bleed through, so you get this really good conglomeration. Of course, it doesn't work over a dark color very well. So on that, you'd have to do like my petal here. Will work like that. Here's a piece of napkin with red on it. So let's put it there. So that one's looking pretty good. This one, okay, bringing this back. This one, that's kind of a big chunk there. So let me take some with writing on this napkin. And that adds a lot more interest to that, I think. Here's a piece of the tissue paper I used earlier. So I'll put that there. Woo. I don't know if that'll show on that pink or not, but let me try. Yeah. Changes it up a little bit anyway. That's kind of ugly right there. And so let me take a piece of this napkin and see if it helps. If I put that on top of it. Yeah, I think that looks better. Okay, I think that's collaged enough. Bring this one out. And Okay, I'm gonna let those dry and then we'll come back and use them. Okay, so I'm gonna add another layer of goodness to these. Even though they're pretty busy and have a lot going on, I'm still gonna do just a little bit of stamping, I think. So looking through some of these stamps, these are some I got from Dayspring a long time ago. And I'm using archival ink. And just gonna, and I don't know if these will show up. Maybe I should wait. I probably should wait to make sure this makes it onto the back of a tag, because the tags are gonna be kind of random. You know what? I think I will. Okay, and regroup here. And I'm gonna do, so what I'm gonna do is use some of my mica spray, because I accidentally did this when I spilled like a whole bottle of my mica spray on something, and so I just started grabbing sheets and mopping it up, and it turned out so pretty. So let's see, where is my mica spray? I haven't used it for a long time. Okay, so here's my mica sprays. Is that what these are? Yes. These are the Dilutions. I got the whole, a whole set of them. I don't know if it's all of them, but, and you know, you always want to make a palette to show you the colors it looks like, because you can't really tell by looking at a bottle sometimes. To have mica in them. And I think that was the one I spilled, of all things. It was kind of wild. So I think I'll get the fresh lime. Let's see if I can find it. Wow, I have not used these in so long. I'm going to use Pure Sunshine, which is this kind of orangey one. Do I want that? And yeah, there's the one I have just a tiny bit left because I spilled it. Well, I tell you what, I have got this mica spray that is almost empty. I'm just going to use it. It is Ranger. Let's see if I have any other ones. I'll just use them up. Boy, these have all settled. And see if these sprayers still work. They're notorious for the sprayers getting stuck in them, stuff stuck in them and not working. So you're not supposed to shake them up and down. You're supposed to shake them side to side, and just make sure you get all the mica up off the bottom to get the most out of it. Okay, so well, I'm gonna let it run. And then the other thing you can do that's fun is, I have a clear one that I got from Tattered Angels, and it's got just white, or it's like clear. It's really cool. It's like clear mica spray. And so what you can do is spray that onto a color, and it makes it like you get more out of it. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see the shine of the mica. Let me use some of this copper one. So see, instead of getting those big blobs of color and it just kind of getting wasted there in that one spot, you can use that clear mica and it kind of broadcasts a little further. Okay, so that's one. I'll use this Sunshine one. Maybe, if it, there. And some more of this coppery one. Okay, there's that one. And let's see, let me try some different colors. I'm going to use this Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. This is Bahama Blue, and then this one that's purple. I forget, you're not supposed to shake it up and down, and then I shook it up and down. It's hard not to. Well, is it not going to work? Okay, here's what I'm talking about. They get stuck. Okay, so then, I think that's how I spilled it. I was trying to put just a little bit here and there. So I'm just going to pour some on. And then got it all over my hands. And then roll it around and use this clear. Ooh, yeah. Yes, so now I'm going to take some scrap paper, because I don't want to waste it, and soak that up. And then take my, well, it's still wet. Now see how it's starting to feather out? It looks a lot better than just this line of color, I think. Okay, I'll let that dry. And then I've got one more. So let me use this blue-green. I don't want that on that bird. Wipe him off. And because I used the gel matte gel medium, it sealed that off, so I was able to kind of wipe it back. It didn't get absorbed and ruin it. And I'll use some of this. Okay. All right, so I'm going to let the mica sprays dry. And then I'm just going to glue, so what these are for, I'm going to glue a whole sheet of these tags on the back of it. So I'll get 5 tags out of one sheet of this Frankenpaper. And they'll all be different. So, okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I think these are dry. I used a hair dryer on them. And I also took them, some of them had blobs of wet mica spray, so I just, like the purple, I just took it and blotted it on there. And then the other ones I did that too. But I love this, some of the effects of this mica spray, how it got absorbed kind of on some things and not on others. I think it's really interesting looking. So that's how they look. So now I'm going to glue my tags on and make sure that's dry. I don't want it to soak through and get my tag wet. Let's see, this one looks better. I'll wait on that one. And I think, let's see, how do I want to do this? I guess I'll use my matte gel, which is really just like paste, like I said before. And I really only have to use it where my tags are if I'm going to be stingy about it. And you know how I am. I am stingy, so see if I can get away with this. Okay, and here I managed to get some spray on it somehow. So I'm gonna let that dry. Hopefully I got all the edges. I can also do it on this sheet. So, you know, well, I'm gonna, It's hard to get this on there fast enough and get the whole thing covered. I feel like it's... And I've got glue on my hands that I'm trying to smash it down with. Okay. All right, I'll let that dry. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I just remembered. These were supposed to go on some bigger cards. All right, back to this plan. Actually, this is the full size of the card. Okay, I may have messed up. Not going to try and guess where these spots are on this one. Just going to try and get the glue on. Okay, so we'll let those dry and then I'll be back. Okay, I think these are dry, so I'm going to go ahead, and I've got a challenge because I made a mistake. I meant for these to go on a bigger tag, and now I've got this on the back and I don't want to lose that. So I'm trying to figure out how I can make a bigger tag out of these and not lose this back. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. And they're actually still kind of damp. But you know, you hate to wait, right? I could wait till tomorrow and do them, and that's probably what I ought to do, but I don't want to do, so I'm going to go ahead and work on these. Okay, I'm back, and I've cut my all of these out, and what I want to do is make this bigger. I don't want to lose this down in the pocket. So what I'm going to do, they turned out pretty though. Look at them. Once they're cut apart, I think they're pretty interesting and different. So now what I'm going to do, I pulled out a bunch of paper from my stash that I like, and I think what I'll do is just put a tab at the top. And so I just picked this up. This is some that I had collaged on. So I took the card and I'm marking it. I thought I'd turn the camera on so you could see what I was doing. Ooh, I didn't mark it very accurately either. Okay, how about that? And then add on here. Make a mark. And then get a strip that I can, now I can take this and be sure you use the right mark when you have two marks. So let me try that again. Put an X on that one. Okay. So I'm going to cut this strip out, and then I'll double check and make sure it works, but cut that loose. Cut that off. And so I'm going to use this. Yeah. So before I turn it into tabs for the tops, I'm going to go ahead and get some strips, find some paper I like. Here's another one that I collaged on. So let me use that. And I'll just go ahead and extend it with the ruler. Of course, I'm on top of a bunch of paper, so it's not really flat, but I think it'll work. Could use that. I don't want it all the same either, so. And I've got, wow, 8? I forget now how many exactly. Let's see. Got a bunch of these papers that I got from the Stampington magazine. So actually, I think, okay, let me cut a tab out. So if I glue it on to the top, like that, I'm just going to experiment here with one. I'll do 1 3/4 inches. Once I cut one out, I can use it as a template. So, but I'm going to do 1 3/4 inches. And And then, let's see, I'll cut this triangle and just flip it over on this side. That way you've got them equal. And here's my card. So if I glue that on, so I like that, and punch a hole and put a ribbon in it. Still a little big. I'm going to cut that down just a little bit. Just kind of eyeball it. Okay, that seems better to me. I'm going to have to cut a piece out then to go on the back of just like maybe brown paper or something. All right, so this is kind of my template. So now I can use all these papers and just trace it out. So there's one. I'll cut all these out and then I'll come back. Okay, here's what I did. I cut my tabs out, and then I decided I needed another one to go on the back of them. So I cut some more out of this brownish paper, different ones, to be on the back side. And then I realized, it's always something, right? Two of these are different sizes. They're not all the same size, width. Two of these are wider. And so these are not going to be wide enough. So I'm going to, I'll fix that when I get to it. Well, in fact, let me do those first. So what I'm going to do is use my PVA glue. So I'm going to just glue a tab on the top here. Ooh, no, it's not clogged. Okay. Front and back. And this is an experiment, so we'll see how this goes. And I've got glue on my hands and put some glue here. Is there a more efficient way to do this? Probably, yes, but that's not how I roll. So, all right, so I don't like how it sticks out on the side, so I'm going to take some washi tape and see if I can trick it. So I'm just going to add and I didn't get enough. All right. Well, I guess I could do that. All right, I'm just going to wrap it like that. Okay, like I said, we're experimenting here. And let me try a different one. I'm going to try one of Tim Holtz's cloth washi here. Ooh, I should have put glue because washi's not archival. You know my thing on that. So it's just really a tiny little amount here. In fact, I have about twice as much as I need, but these scissors. Oh, I gotta let these scissors go. I've had them now for 4 years, cutting cardboard and every kind of thing under the sun, and I think it's time to buy some more scissors for, now they're not $1, they're like $1.50 or $2, but I think they've lived their best life. And then I'll just trim that off. And then it is the size it needs to be. Okay, and I did ink this. So that has extended it into a bigger tag that I can put a hole in and a ribbon and put it in my pocket, which was my goal. So I'm going to keep going with this. And these have sprays on them, so I want to try to maintain that, which means I can't get my glue on it or it'll run and ruin the, I don't know if you can see the mica spray on here, but it's really pretty. So I'm going to try to hold on to that. Okay. So this is kind of a little nitpicky thing to mess with, but a lot of the stuff with junk journaling is that way, don't you think? It's like piddling around with things. Probably don't even need one on that. I think I'm going to let that go. Looks like I didn't get that centered right. Okay. So that one's ready. I told you I was going to talk about my Bible study stuff, but I didn't bring notes up today. You're probably glad after my first video I put quite a bit on there, so I'll give you a break on this one. And you won't have to hear me talking about all that. Okay, and then I'll punch holes later. And then look for a narrow washi on this. It feels like it needs something across there. Okay, so I've got these. I might as well finish these up. So I'm going to get my crocodile out to punch a hole because it will punch through thick paper. Okay, this is the wide hole, and I'm just going to eyeball it, I think. Okay, so now I'm going to get my little stickers out. And, ooh, you know what? Those holes, did I use the, yeah, I did. These stickers are bigger than that. I guess they'll still work. I wonder if my regular hole punch will go through this. It didn't seem like it was that hard. Oh, and by the way, I was telling you earlier that some of these patterns I made, I was using these woody by Stabilo. They're big wooden like Crayolas, and they're water soluble, and so you can scribble things and then go over it with water and it bleeds out like watercolor. So that's what I was using, in case you were wondering. All right, I'm going to go back over these and repunch them, I think. Okay, kind of hurt my hand, but that's all right. I like the bigger hole on these. And then this one needs trimming. Okay. All right. Let's see, get some of my colors out here. Okay, let's see. Pink's always a tricky one, because I don't have a good pink. That's not too bad. And of course you don't have to match anything, but I like it better when something matches, when it at least picks up some color. And of course each side's different, right? So and that needs some more glue. I think I'll just put a piece of washi tape there. And this is cloth tape from Tim Holtz. And this one. Okay, so now ribbons. I'm excited to put these tags in the journal. Looking forward to that, just seeing what it looks like to have all those different ribbons coming out of it. Okay, so let's see if I can group these to similar colors, maybe. All right, so let's look at our ribbon. And of course, you know, it's fun to have different colored ribbons, so I want to make sure I get a variety. I know I get carried away with the colors, so I'm going to try to behave myself here. Might as well just bring the box over. Okay, so might as well go with the color on the back. Have a little fun with it, since it's neutral on the other side. All right. Purple. See if I've got one. A little bit bluer. And some of these are really different on the back, so I don't know if the colors are going to go with all of it, but try to go with what's on the front as being more important. Okay. I know I'm going to have a million of these ribbons to put back, but that's okay, because I do want a bunch of different ones. Okay, purple, reddish purple. I think I've said before, so when I first got these these Hug and Snug ribbons, they come all crinkly and they look cool, but I wanted them smooth, so I took them and ironed them. Spent quite a bit of time ironing them, making them smooth, and then I realized that's not what I wanted to do. I like them curly, so I started leaving them. They take up a lot more room though when you wind them on a bobbin, but they look cooler, I think, crinkly. See, here's some that I ironed. And there's nothing wrong with that, that's fine too, but they kind of get crinkly as you put them in your journals, so I kind of think by leaving them crinkly, they look a little more natural. Okay, orangey. Oh, be exciting, won't it? See, here's one that I ironed, and so it just gets these folds in it, and I don't think that that's particularly attractive. So I just think the crinkles are probably more interesting. I've got glue all over my hands. And it's like if you were one of those kids in grade school that like to peel the glue off your hands and it looked like skin, this glue is the glue for you. Even after you think you've got it all off, you still find the glue on your fingers. I don't think I've used green yet. Kind of a muddy green. Okay, so from that one page of tags, we have these. And then, of course, the back is way more colorful. So there is that bunch. I'll put it over here in my little bucket. And I'm going to stop for today. I think that's enough excitement for one day, so we'll go on with it on another video. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope that you are inspired to make some tags for yourself. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.